Alien is the best sci-fi horror movie ever made, featuring one of, if not the most terrifying creature in all of film that just makes you want to close your eyes, clench your booty cheeks, and pray to God that this thing is not real. And it features one of the best characters in all of film with Ellen Ripley. Look at this scene. It opens up with a beautiful shot of space, and we hear this haunting score with these weird little sound effects. And the score comes off like a warning, and you're already like, your guard is up, you're kind of scared, you kind of want to call the cops, but the beautiful title of just Alien simply reveals itself, half a letter, half of a letter, this and that, and it slowly makes Alien, and you're already like, what is going on? Not every movie opens up like this. The opening of this movie simply has aura. We see the room of everyone in their cryo sleep, and then John Hurt is the first one to wake up, and the camera is focused on him. So the audience is like, okay, this is our hero, this is our protagonist, let's go. And then when everyone wakes up, they discuss the distress signal. You know, they have to go to this moon. They are contractually obligated to go and investigate. What we see next is my favorite sequence in all of the Alien franchise, is where they go and investigate the distress call. So they land on LV-426, the moon. They see the derelict ship. They go inside and they establish that what this ship is made of is nothing that humanity has ever seen before. So you're already filled with suspense. You're already like, okay, what's going on? Like, am I about to bust some kung fu moves at the screen? What's going on? So they go in the room of the space jockey. And then you see this weird pilot being that's been fossilized with a hole in its chest. And then all these things. This, to me, is what sci-fi cosmic horror is all about. This Lovecraftian vibe of the fear of the unknown. What are these things? Do they know that we exist? Do they even care that we exist? Are their plans or whatever they're trying to do just so beyond, you know, like our existence that we're just a mere speck of dust to them? And those questions alone is, to me, what cosmic horror is all about. And, you know, John Hurt's character is investigating, and we see all these little things, and then he looks inside, and then boom. We know it's a face hugger, but at that point we're just like, oh shit, a living organism just attacked this man. We're like, okay, is he dead? Is he not? Apparently he's still breathing. So they go back to try to save this man, and then Ripley in charge is like, no, we don't know what that is. That thing could be like a infectious, diseased, virus-filled organism or whatever that's going to infect all of us, and we might all die. And then, you know, that's that moral dilemma that I absolutely love. Like, should you open it? Like, Ripley's technically not wrong, but at the same time, there is a man that is desperately in need of help, or he might die. And then Ash opens up the door, you know, not caring about Ripley's authority. So they take him inside, and they establish that this face hugger is also keeping him alive. And if they try to forcefully take it out, it might kill him. And then when they cut a little bit of it, the blood of this thing is acid. Just like melts through the floor. And that itself is also extremely terrifying. What else do they have? What other capabilities do they have? Then the facehugger just falls off and just dies. And then you're like, okay, that was kind of easy. You know, I guess the conflict of the movie was just over, I guess, by itself. So you're like, okay, I guess we can relax now. You know, let's get some food. So they're eating, you know, they're having camaraderie, you know, fun discussion. And then boom, he starts coughing. And you're like, okay, you know, maybe he's sick. Maybe he just heard the new KSI song and he's just having an allergic reaction to it. But no, this guy is shaking, and then you're like, okay, like something's going on. So this guy just starts violently spazzing out, and then you're like, oh my god, like, dude, how much pain is this guy in? And then the chest burster. I try to imagine what watching this movie would be like for the first time back in 1979. Like, what are your emotions? Because these days, that scene is so iconic. A lot of people kind of know what's going to happen before it does happen. So I just wondered, like, back then when they had no idea what's going on, how much feces filled the theater after everyone shit themselves after that scene. So that entire sequence of going to the distress call, seeing the derelict ship, facehugger attack, facehugger dies, boom, chest burster. That sequence itself is my favorite sequence in any Alien movie. So now we're like, okay, there's a tiny alien on this ship. And the thing is that this alien does not look anything like the facehugger. So already we're like, okay, like a whole new organism out of nowhere is a new threat now. It looks nothing like the space jockey. It looks nothing like the facehugger. That itself adds to the cosmic horror of the unknown. They take John Hurt's body, they launch him into space or whatever. They're like, just see you later. So they're looking for the alien, all right? Small little alien, you know, where is it? Where is it? Underneath the ground? Where the hell is it? So the first victim is lonely wandering, of course. Again, they think it's a small little alien, right? You know, I'll excuse the fact that they just don't know. Just walking around, and I love the fact that there's no big sound effect of a jump scare introducing it with this huge no. Victim is just walking around. Then it just cuts to the alien. Then you're like, what is that thing? Why is it so big? It felt like it was just born. And why does it look like the manifestation of pure terror? I just said that without even thinking about it. H.R. Geiger's creation of this alien, the xenomorph, feels like the manifestation of terror. And this theme of sexual violence and violation, this theme alone adds so much terror to this movie. And then it has a small mouth. Inside its mouth, it has no eyes. You can't see, you can't feel like, oh, what emotion? No. H.R. Geiger, you're a genius. So the victim gets murdered, and then boom, it's like silence. It's like he screams a bit, and then boom, like nothing. Just like, oh, no more screaming. The atmosphere and tone of this movie, my heartbeat goes in the 10 trillions of beats per second during this entire movie. So the crew's like, oh shit, our homie just died. And then the audience is like, oh shit, we thought John Hurt was the protagonist. We thought he was the hero. He's now dead. He just got destroyed. And then we're like, okay, now Dallas is the movie hero. You know, he's the captain of the ship. You know, he's the hero. So he says, give me, you know, the sensor to detect this alien. We know it's in the vents. Give me a flamethrower. I'm going to take this thing out. So then the alien in the vent sequence. Again, this whole sequence is why I love sci-fi horror, and specifically this movie. So you're already claustrophobic in this ship in the middle of space, right? But now you know that it's in the vents, so you have to go in the vents. Now it's even more claustrophobic. So he goes in there, the crew's like closing the doors or whatever behind him as he slowly gets closer to the alien, right? So he's going and going and going, and then it gets closer and closer and closer, and then you're already filled with dread. Your heart is pounding. There's several doctors nearby to recover you if you pass out. And then when the alien attacks, I swear, I've seen this movie many times. It seems like it always surprises me out of nowhere. And then Dallas, boom, dead. And then the audience is like, what is going on? Everyone's just dropping like flies. What is going on? So after Dallas gets completely obliterated, the audience is completely hopeless. You're like, what is going on? What do we have to hope for? Everyone's just dropping like flies. What's going on? What, should I even finish this movie? I feel like my life is on the line as well. Guys, the production design of this movie. Beautifulness and magicalness. The kitchen, you know, the cryo sleep room, there's many rooms, especially those button rooms that, to be honest, I think they need a little more buttons, to be honest, but that's a whole different discussion. The other parts of the ship, dark shadows, these pipes, this, that, a little bit water leaking. The atmosphere of this ship and the fact that the xenomorph, you know, alien can so blend in with the background so easily adds so much terror inside your bones. You feel it in your booty cheeks, to be honest. But that's, again, a whole different discussion. And then Ellen Ripley steps up, and then you're like, yep, she is the hero of this movie. She's been right all along, and she's been very suspicious of Ash. You know, Ash was the one like, you know, this organism's this, you know, it's better if we take it back to Earth, this and that. Very suspicious of it. And you look back, you know, after the alien attack, all this, like, he's been a little bit too chill. And then Ripley finds out that Wayland, the company of the Nostromo of this whole thing, that they were basically obligated to go and, you know, see the distress signal, that Ripley's like, you know, What, it was probably a warning. So she goes on the computer, the mothership, whatever, and then it turns out that this company is like, oh, we want this living organism. The crew is expendable. We don't care. You guys could die. Doesn't matter to us. We're only looking for our profit, our advantage, the good that does to us. We don't care if it kills everyone. Ash is like, oh, I'm gonna just straight up murder you now. So then, Ash is trying to, murder Ripley, and then boom, he gets hit in the head, and then you're like, what the hell is going on? Why is there freaking like milk stuff coming out of this guy? And then boom, he was an android, a robot this entire time. And the fact, like, look, when he gets split open, like, after he gets hit in the head and shit, like, that looked so off-putting. Like, that body horror element, like, really got to me. So they bring Ash's robot corpse and they hook it up with a few wires just to get some information out of him. And then he basically just confirms everything. He's like, yeah, there's this living organism. It is priority number one. You guys are all expendable. The company does not care if you guys all die. It wants the alien. And obviously it's like split up, like the corpse of Ash is like all over the place, robot milk stuff coming. And that itself was like another element of like body horror to this movie. And this idea of, okay, this foreign alien or whatever that's not from Earth, has nothing to do with it, is trying to kill us, but yet our side, humans, humanity, like us, they also don't give a shit if we die. And they want this thing in, they just want it for their own benefit. And that itself is another layer of horror. So then Ash says that this thing is a perfect organism, and he admires its purity and its lack of remorse or delusions of morality. That itself is kind of disturbing. But where does that admiration come from is my question. Humans made Ash. Ash sees us as his creator, his god, right? For the first time, Ash is seeing a living organism be better than us in almost every way, killing us like it's nothing, right? Is he in a way saying like, oh shit, program aside, this thing is above my gods, I admire it because of it? Or is it because that we know Wayland is a human, and when you make artificial life, you make it in your own self-image, and Wayland, in a way, like a creator's ego is like, I'm God, I'm playing God. So he directly or indirectly programmed this hierarchy of thinking of, oh, animals below us, plants below animals, humans on top. So is he in a way programmed directly or indirectly to admire it? Or does he admire it because he chooses to? I love fascinating philosophical questions like that. And then they burn Ash, turning him off, basically killing him. And then alien attacks. Everyone is dead at this point. It's just Ripley. You have to survive. So she hits the self-destruct button to try to freaking abort the ship because there's no way she's killing the xenomorph. You just have to leave at this point. So she hits the self-destruct button, is counting down, and then she's like, oh shit, Jones the cat, So, Ripley puts the cat before herself, she's going to save the cat, and this whole sequence is filled with so much suspense. She's running through these hallways. You're like, oh, is it there? Where is it? Is it behind it? What's going on? And then the self-destruct is going off. Sirens are going off. You're shaking. Your fists are clenched. After the whole self-destruct thingy explodes like freaking billion times, huge explosion. And, she's safe. She's in the escape pod, her and the cat. Beautiful, sunshines and rainbows. And then, oh, it's right there. Holy shit, it's right there. Like, it blended in the background so easily, which adds so much suspense to this movie. And then she's like slowly trying to put on the astronaut suit because she wants to basically blow this thing out. It's a lot easier than killing it, which is itself is crazy. Like, you basically have to make it impossible for it to get to you rather than killing it in that situation, which itself is pretty scary. Blows it out of the airlock, goes under the engine, boom, hits the engine, boom, blasts it into outer space. Goes into cryo sleep. Ellen Ripley signing off. This movie is my favorite sci-fi horror movie of all time, and that's saying a lot. Ellen Ripley is one of the best characters in movie history. She is not like some super soldier, like she's trained to take out aliens and xenomorphs. No, like the movie basically treats her like a background minor character in the first half. And I kind of love that because, in a way, I think the movie's trying to say that like anyone could be the hero if they just simply step up, take control, know what to do. And that to me is such a beautiful thing. I love this movie in every way. I love the performances. Everyone did a magnificent job. I love every single character. They are distinct. They are memorable. I love the camaraderie between them. When they get taken out, I am emotionally invested. I get bummed out when they die. I love the tone and atmosphere of this movie, of its universe. The LV-426, what was that derelict ship? What's that space jockey? The hole from that chest, now we think back, it's like, oh, it's probably a xenomorph. Where is that xenomorph? What is it up to? There was many face huggers. What is their purpose? And questions like that is the sheer cosmic horror I love about this movie that I really haven't seen much replicated in other movies. And the themes of like the sexual violence of this creature, the xenomorph slash facehugger, all of that, and the themes about greed and corporatism, and how these characters never really wanted to go. They went because they were obligated to by their employer. And we know that Ash was basically put on this mission last minute. In a way, that's my interpretation, is that they knew like the distress call was going to be there, but they just didn't know what it was. It could have been this, it could have been that, but if it was an organism, if it was an alien, Ash would be there to secure its return home. In a way, uh I love this movie. I love everything about it. The music, the production design, the alien design, one of the most terrifying creatures ever put to movies. Like it scares the shit out of me, man. It scares the shit out of me. Ellen Ripley, everything about this movie. I love it. Ridley Scott did an amazing job. I will give this movie a 10 out of 10. So what do you think about this movie? I am genuinely interested in what you guys think. Where does it rank amongst the alien films? Where does it rank amongst sci-fi horror? Where does it rank amongst films in general? What would you give it out of 10? Let me know in the comments below. I will read every comment. Thank you guys.